Hello and welcome back. As you can see, I've finally got the B12 up and running and out of the box, and we're just making our way to the turntable so we can get turned around and run the opposite direction to collect some L.N.E.R. Teak coaches from the station. Lovely shot there. Just look at how the turntable rolls over the contacts. It is quite a crude thing, but as we've said before, it does do the trick, and it's very noisy, as we've heard before. It sort of bounces the sound back into the room. And just look as it begins to line up with the tracks again, how it jumps over the contacts. So it really is a thing from a completely different era. And away we go. Great view of the back of the controllers there and all the cabling for the point switches and so on. So we're on to the inside line again there, and we're going to run round to just behind the station, where we'll bring it to a stop, and then we'll open points 4.0, and that's the crossover, which I keep forgetting to use, and then 1.0, and then we'll roll her through, and now bring her under the gantry. I think part of the reason I don't use it is you can't see the crossover from when you're standing at the controllers. It's quite nice being able to come through there and then back up into the station. Let's see if we can gently couple up with those coaches. We'll just have a quick glance at the 76 catalogue here on page 19, just for reference, and there's the model, R.150, that retains the original catalogue number of the Black B12 when it showed up in the early 60s. The cab side number there, 1577, isn't quite how it showed up in the shops. So we have a cab side number here of 7476. It's absolutely stunning livery, I think. It's like a matte black finish on it, rather than the plain black plastic of the early 60s. But we've got nickel tyres on there, a really lovely looking model. I think we'll pop the catalogue down. We've had plenty of looks through catalogues recently. We'll just have a look, just out of interest, at what the price of the locomotive was. So this is 12th January 76, and here we go. Where's the price here? We've got R.150, B12, Loco and Tender, L.N.E.R. It's got £9.25. Sounds like a bargain, doesn't it? So we'll just pop this to one side. Now, I know I showed this in a video a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't managed to get it up and running on the railway. Needed a little bit of oiling and so on, so box is in fairly good condition as we saw before. There's the info there, R.150, and we've got L.N.E.R. Loco, B12/3 class Loco. I'm probably reading that all wrongly, aren't I? But that's a paper label on there, so I think that's a variant of the B12/3. I do love that effect with the screws printed on there. It looks like very purposeful. So we'll just slide it out, and we'll have a look at that terrific face card. We'll pop that down and just have a quick look over that. I do quite like those very basic illustrations, although the later colour illustrations that followed were also rather impressive. And as we saw last time, we got paperwork with it. It's got a date on it. So we've got R.150, 26th of the 1st, 77. I always read these wrong. It's quite a general list, as we've found before. And it sort of folds out to quite a size. We'll just have a quick look at that. Very crisp paper, this one. It covers a whole variety of models which were perhaps in the range at the time. So interestingly, I discovered in the packaging there is a piece of paperwork which I think is too late for the model. It might have been slipped into the box at a later date perhaps, or maybe it's old stock leaving the factory, and it's 01 module fitting instructions. So I think this model might have been dropped from the range before 01 was introduced, perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but still it's quite nice to have these little bits of paper. So we'll just have a look at her in the nice white polystyrene of the time. Very difficult to show this very deep black locomotive against this white polystyrene, but I think that's a gorgeous finish on this model, and it really does quite impressive with those shiny nickel tyres on there, and of course it does have the chuff chuff sound. And away she goes with those coaches, making her way out of the station and across the point work, heading towards that diamond crossing. We'll see how she does with that. Gathering a little pace now. I don't think there was a stutter at all there, and those silver seal wheels beginning to make a nice sound on the steel track. Through the curved point and heading towards points 8R onto the outside line there. And then we must remember to close those behind the coaches. And off she goes around the outside line. As you can see, I also have a later variant of the green B12. These are available between 70 and 79, I think. This one's quite a pretty one. It has slightly different wheels on it to the black one we're looking at here, but we'll have a glance at that in a moment. We'll just have a swift look over the model. So, as I said, I think this is a really gorgeous livery, the way it's been finished. And I think that's a little bit of polystyrene under the rail there. I think there we go, we've got it. I don't want to brush it too much. I think it's just such a pretty thing. Have a look under there. I think this has the early XO4 type motor. The green one has an XO3, has a different gearing. So the green one is much smoother to operate than this one. It's more in common with the earlier model. So have a look in there. If we can't get a good view, and now I'll put an insert picture in there. I think we might be just in shadow. In common with all the other B12s I have, this has a crack just under the back plate there. This is the hook for the tender. Let's just have a quick look down the other side. So it is really quite a stunning thing, isn't it? So you've got safety valves and a whistle there. Let's see if we can see in there. We can just see detail in there. I think it's quite nice. You could have a driver and fireman there. Let's just pop that down so that it is there's quite a movement on that front bogie or truck there, and the overswing or the nose swing on this is quite significant. I think on my old layout the B12 always clipped the platform coming through the crossover at the station. There's that beautiful tender. I say that matte black, I think it's just gorgeous. So it's definitely done a little running. It's been quite well looked after, and it's got the chuff chuff sound. We either love it or hate it. I think the green variant I have there is supposed to have it, but I think the previous owner must have taken it away because it's not present. You can see where it was. Again, I've got little bits of polystyrene stuck to the model there. But we've got sleeved wheels on metal axles, but closed axle boxes. Lovely little coal load there. I think it's all sprayed up in the same paint. Very cost-effective way of producing the model. We've got the coupling screwed into the tender there. Flathead screw. Nice to see flathead screws still in use here. And plastic buffers, just like the main part of the locomotive. We've got polystyrene everywhere here. So let's just pop that down, and we'll just slide out the green B12 from the box. So this is, we've seen this one before. I'll leave a link to videos with this one in. So this is a slightly later one. So I think they made variations of the green one, 1970 through to 79. And I think the early 1971, the Synchro Smoke, is a gorgeous model with the wheels painted, and that centre drive wheel that doesn't have a flange on it is painted. I think it's just such a pretty thing. Definitely not prototypical, but definitely just such a pretty thing. Look at the two different types of illustration there. So we'll just pop that down, have a quick glance here. So this model dates from 78, so R.866, 21st of the 7th, 78. Very similar looking instruction sheet, I think. So we won't get too bogged down in that one, I don't think. We'll just pop that to one side. We'll have a swift look over this model. You can see she's in that waxy, slightly waxy plastic of the time. Those centres of the front wheels there, all in the green plastic, lovely looking thing. And it's flanged on the centre wheels. Let's just pop that down and see if we can ease the tender out here. And we can see, hopefully down there, there's a gap underneath the rear axle where the Chuff Chuff striker arm would have gone down. It would have had something on the axle there, so I think it was probably there at one time. I think the catalogue says it should be available with Chuff Chuff sound at that time. I'll have to check it, but they definitely did have it at some point. Again, lovely lining. Really pretty things, these models. So let's pop that down, have a swift look over the locomotive. It is gorgeous, isn't it? The livery. It's hard to choose which is the prettier model. Really, you'd be hard pressed, I think. Take the easy way out and have both of them. Again, polystyrene stuck to the smoke box door. Let's just turn that around. Have a quick look at the other side. This is in a fairly lovely condition. I think this one has the crack. Yeah, it has a crack down here as well. I think each one that I have has a crack there. You can see that's got the different drive gear on there and much finer scale wheels. As I say, I'm not sure how these ones are produced. It still does have the magnet adhesion. But, let's just have a look at both of those side by side. But this black one is definitely a little cruder in the running than the green one here. And there she is, running behind the station there. So I was really pleased to get this model. I think I mentioned in the video when I first showed it a few weeks ago that it'd take me quite some time to get one of these. I kept getting outbid on that well-known auction site. And this one showed up as a buy it now for about the price I kept losing out at. So I thought I would just buy it now, as they say. Lovely shot there, going past the L.N.E.R Hall. Great load of mineral wagons sitting there under the coal unloading bridge. I did shoot a little bit of video for that, but I didn't get around to incorporating it into this video. But I think we'll bring this gently to a stop just before points 1B now. And then we'll switch the points so we can run up and over. Now, I've been playing with this model on the railway for a little while now, and she really doesn't like to slow down coming down the incline. You can get the power down to almost minimal, and she's charging away with the weight of the coaches behind her. You'll see what I mean in a minute, and you get the controller to almost nothing. And she's still charging away, but she climbs really nicely. Lovely purr coming from the motor. Great shot above the engine shed there. So as she begins to descend, I'm backing right off the power, and that's almost minimal. You can hear that pickup, and then as she runs out of forward momentum, she just settles down to low power again. We'll just have a quick look over it, and you can see the motor there hasn't done a great deal of running. And it's a slightly different variant on the motor, the open frame motor from the slightly later green version there. You see the worm is completely different. So we've got better gearing on this one. It's more controllable, and you've got that large plastic cog underneath there, and you have a look at that fine-toothed one on the black variant here. Again, just look at the difference in the wheels as well. So on this black version it's much cruder wheels. So I think these are a much finer thing, these. So better pickup, smoother running, and definitely quieter on the rails. So let's just pop that down and just have a swift look over both sides of that. So see, it hasn't had too much action in its life, I don't think. Sorry, I just keep knocking that. Very shiny though, isn't it? And I think those plated wheels really look quite splendid with the matte black bodywork. So we'll just pop that down for a second, and we just have a quick look. So make sure I haven't got too greasy of fingers. Have a quick look on the inside of that bodywork there. So let's see, we've got built in Britain, and there's that Hornby Railways there. It's very difficult to read that, the black against black. There we go, Hornby Railways and R.150, built in Britain. There is the, sorry, I'm whispering again there. There is the plastic buffer heads there. They are quite shiny, aren't they? And there's that little crack running through there. There must be a lot of stress in the body moulding, I think, for so many of these I've come across to be have a crack in the very same position. Storming past the signal box there. We'll just keep an eye on her now. I'm going to have a little fun with the editing here. So just watch as she comes under the bridge. And there we've got the beautiful green one running too. So a completely different sound. Obviously it doesn't have the chuff chuff sound. I think this green one was available with chuff chuff sound back in the earlier 70s. And the very early green one had the synchro smoke unit as well. So let's just keep an eye on that now. And there we go, back to that beautiful black variation of the model. She is a little cruder to run, the black one, than the green one. Having those slightly earlier style wheels, I think they're just steel tyres which have been nickel plated rather than perhaps stamped out of nickel. But quite interesting to see how the two models run. Lovely purr from the motor on that green one though. We'll just have a swift look in the 77 catalogue at the coaches I've decided to run the model with today. So we do have a price list. We'll have a glance at that in a moment. So there they are. We've got those lovely Teak coaches with silver seal wheels. I think they were new in this year. So we've got the composite there of the R.435. And then we've got the lovely looking brake R.436. Sorry, I'm holding that out of shot. I think a sleeper car followed in 78, I think. I think we've seen that in another video, and the lighting kit which could be fitted to all of these sort of newer regional style coaches which came along in 77. But also let's just have a quick look. We'll come back to that price list in a second. We've got the L.N.E.R B12 here as well, and she's gained the number she was marketed with eventually in this year, so perhaps that was just like the proving model in the 76 catalogue. But we'll pop that down for now, and we'll have a glance at those coaches. But let's see what sort of price they were in 77. I suppose we should have a look at the B12 as well, shouldn't we? See what price that was, see if it changed. There we go, we've got the L.N.E.R B12, R.150, loco and tender, and she has gone up a little. She's now £9.75, so a little bit of an increase. So let's have a look at the coaches. So we've got the silver seal coaches. So where are we? L.N.E.R 435 and 436, comp and brake. So I'm having trouble looking at all these columns of figures. We'll trace across here. £2.85. What a wonderful sounding price, but of course that was in 1977, so I imagine that represented quite a lot of money really at the time. So we'll pop that to one side, and we'll have a quick look over these coaches. We have seen them a number of times before in videos recently, but I think they really are quite smart, and they were replacing the earlier Triang Hornby variant, which of course didn't have seating. But we can There is some seating detail and corridor detail within these. Let's just have a look. You can see through the windows there, and that handrail printed on the perspex on the windows as well. Lovely printing, great detail. I think at a sort of arm's length on the layout, they really do look quite splendid. I think there's something quite similar still available today in the railroad range. I think as these coaches made their way into the 80s, they got teak ends as well, and I think the bogies may have changed at some point too. But they really are quite splendid things. They look quite good as multiples on the railway. The wheels are beginning to get dirty. You must give those a clean, not let them build up too much. And here is the brake. They're relatively heavy. They're reassuring in weight. Perhaps a little heavier than the earlier Teaks from trying Hornby. And I think these Silver Seal wheels, for me, they make such a pleasing sound on the rail joints and the point work. I think that's all part of it, a completely different sound to the plastic wheels of earlier years. And there we go, catching up with the beautiful apple green B12 again. So we are going to double head them in a moment, just keep a lookout. Lovely purr there, and there we have it. We've got chuff chuff sound as well. Now the black variation is a much livelier model, much cruder in its control, and I wasn't sure whether they'd really run that well together, so I put her at the front because it made more sense, I think. But they run and they make such a lovely sound together. Just look at that. Absolutely effortless. Really overpowered here. We should have had more coaches on with all this pulling power, so perhaps that's something for another day. Let's see how they do on the diamond crossing there. No, not any real discernible stutter. Occasionally you just see the green one catch up to the black one a little when it relaxes the coupling. Absolutely wonderful. Definitely going to have to run that with more coaches, I think, in the future. So we'll just run round another time there. Nice view from above. And I couldn't resist just getting the early 70s green B12. Now I've put her on the front. And I really wasn't expecting the three of them to run quite so well together either. But you can see a little bit of push and shove on the couplings going on there, but it's largely really nicely controlled. So the lead locomotive does have an active synchro-smoke unit in it there, but I think in these lighting conditions we're not really going to see any, and I haven't put any fluid in this time around, although there's a faint whiff of smoke you can smell just as she's warming up, so she's not running completely dry. But that must be some fair old draw on the controller, so I've set it up just from the other side of the layout, and I've got the meter on it, so we'll have a look at it as they come around. So I'm running on the clipper this time because it's not so easy to wire in the meter into the other controllers, but it's easy from this side. So let's have a glance at the meter as they come around. Let's see if we can see that. So that's just under an amp, isn't it? So the clipper being a 1.5 amp supply. So I think we're within range there, and the controller I'm using on the far side there, those Hornby Railways ones, they're 2.5 amp controllers. We'll just have a quick glance over all three models there. We can see the top variant there is the early one from 1970 without the flange on the wheel there, and beautifully painted wheels. I think that is a lovely effect, even though it's got nothing to do with railways. I just think it looks so smart. And of course, you've got black plastic wheels with painted centres, I think there, whereas the later ones have the steel tyres on it. Much smoother running, makes a completely different sort of sound. So the tender on this earlier B12 has a slight damage on it there, previous owners has glued the little chip in the top there. Very dusty, this one. But if you want to see this one running a little more, I think I've got this in an earlier video. I'll try and include the link in the description box. So that's the later 70s green variant with the tyre or flange on its centre wheel as well. This one's got a slightly different variant motor. So I think the Black B12 and the early 70s one, the motors share a lot in common. I think the gearing is very similar, if not the same. I could be wrong, but I just thought it would be nice just to see all three models there lying on the baseboard just before we say goodbye. But thanks again for watching. Really is hugely appreciated. But if you look back again next time, we'll try and have something else from the range to look at. Goodbye now.